Hi, my name is Mackenzie from the Sewing Palace in Helena, Montana, and today we will be showing you how to make a quilt-as-you-go strip quilt, both on the long arm and a sewing machine. Let's get started. Our project is using cuddle or minky fabrics. In the store, we have cuddle kits in a variety of sizes and colors. We also have these new sweet strips out of variety colors that contain 5 10-inch strips. Also in the store, we have bolts that you can cut up and make your quilt as well. As the tools that you will need are chalk markers, Friction pens, stretch 9014 needles, and lastly is the 505 adhesive temporary spray.
The first step in this video is to show you how to piece a cuddle quilt on your domestic sewing machine. You will want to collect backing fabric, batting, and your favorite strip set. There are a variety of choices for strips and kits available. Your very first step will be to clear off a surface and take your backing fabric and lay it wrong side up. You will then adhere the batting to the wrong side of the backing fabric. Then you'll mark the center of your batting. Mackenzie will show you this.
Before you sew each strip, fold over your batting, spraying it with 505. So you will need a surface, a big enough surface to do this on. Making sure that there are no creases. See this crease here? You don't want that. Or you can do your whole backing and get it done at one time. If you are sewing your quilt on your regular sewing machine, the first step will you be laying your batting out and marking the center both vertically and horizontally. As you see, I've already done that. This process is done because when you start in the middle, you will work your way out with further strips as you go on. For example, if you have an odd number of strips, your first strip will be on top of the line, centered the strip with the centered line of the batting. If you have an even number of strips, your first strip will be aligned with the centered line, lining up the bottom raw edge with the centered line. Then you will be folding this over halfway and spraying with your 505 over the strip and where on the batting. Folding this back over and pressing it down good so it sticks. You will repeat this same step to the other side. Once your strip is fully tacked down with your 505, you'll grab your second strip, placing it right sides together, lining up your raw edges with the top raw edges. Then pin along, giving a 5-inch area between each pin. Now that we have our pieces pinned, all 4 pieces, the backing, the batting, and the 2 strips that are right sides together, I am sitting here at the BERNINA 590. I have on the BERNINA walking foot, the number 50. This foot is extremely helpful when sewing thicknesses that are big, extremely helpful with minky especially. This foot helps with a second set of feed dogs on top and bottom to help guide the fabric through the machine. I also have a 9014 stretch needle in to help with minky fabrics.
After you've sewn your strip using your walking foot and your domestic sewing machine, you will then apply the next strip, lining up the raw edges and pinning all the way down the strip. As you sew through the layers, you will then apply 505 spray to hold the strip in place and just work your way down the quilt. You will continue to build your quilt using your walking foot and adding strips from the center out. At the end of the video, we will show you how to finish the last edge. Now Mackenzie will show you how to do it on a long arm quilting machine.
Now we're going to transition to the quilting machine. I am standing here at the BERNINA Q24 quilting long arm. A few of the specialty features is the integrated bobbin winder conveniently located in front, along with the frontally loaded bobbin system and the easy access threading system along with the spool holders on top. No need for specialty needles. You can use your regular needles that you use on your sewing machine. The throat space is 24 inches. The BSR function that this machine is built in, which keeps your stitches even and consistent regardless of how simple or complex your design might be. Also, my favorite feature is that the handlebars have 4 programmable buttons. I have already loaded the backing and the batting on the machine. I have basted the top of the batting and the backing so that they are secured to each other and they won't move and slide. Our first step will be to fold over the first strip and spraying it with 505. Spraying both the strip and the batting. Bringing it back down, pressing it down, repeating this on the other side of the strip. You can see on the screen the stitch per inch is programmed to 10. I'm going to change it to 3 to make it a basting stitch. With this stitch, I'm going to baste the top of the quilt so it is secure and won't move. Now that the first strip is basted on top, we have to change the stitch per inch to 7 and sew the second strip to the first strip right sides together, matching the bottom raw edges with each other and pinning in place. Moved up the quilt to make room for our next row. Folding back the second row, grabbing your 505, spraying the back of your fabric and the batting. Then laying down your strip, pressing it down all the way across. Now we can add our third strip, which is the same steps that we sewed the first and second strip together. This process will be the same all the way down, connecting every row down your quilt. Our quilt is finished. Now we have to attach the binding. There is two options. There is a fold over option and a separate binding strip that you attach. First, the fold over option, you trim your batting so it's the same length as your top. So that's the same length. Then you can, if you have extra backing, trim it to your desired length of your binding. I like to trim mine 2.5 from the quilt top, 2.5 inches out. Or if you want an inch, you just depends on how wide you want your binding strip all the way around. Then the second option is squaring up your quilt and then preparing 2.5 inches of other fabric that you fold right wrong sides together and attach it to the back of your quilt with a straight stitch, and then folding it over to the front of the quilt and zigzagging along the top of your quilt to form your binding. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. My name is Mackenzie from the Sewing Palace in Helena, Montana. Thank you for joining us today.